everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Running a little bit behind here, not much. Want to welcome you to the June 30th, 2018 Vinyl Treasure Show. It's my all 1960s show. We do it the last Saturday of the month. Glad you can join me on this hot Saturday. It's going to be hot for the next few days here, actually maybe for the next week or so. So you got to cool off for the next 2 hours for some cool 60s 45s out of my collection. We just opened up tonight's all 60s edition with a Surf 45. I have no info about this obscure group. That I'm guessing they are out of Hollywood, California. At least the label is. They're called the Original Hustlers. They're doing a song entitled Cue Ball, a cool surf tune on the LaBelle label as we open up tonight's show. That one there from January 1964. Well, enough of my babbling here. Got to clean some of these 45s, though, as I continue here. So we open up the vocal portion with an artist from Hamtramck, I said that right, Michigan. His real name is William Levis Jr., but he began recording in 1962 as Billy Lee with a release on the Carrie label, but Bob Crew heard him singing and signed him to his newly formed New Voice record label. The result were 12 releases on the New Voice label and the Dyna Voice labels. This one made it up to number 30 on WPRO in Providence, Rhode Island. Let's go to July 1966 for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. It's on the New Voice label with a song entitled You Get Your Kicks.
You
That's a cool tune to open up the vocal portion of the Vinyl Treasure Show. July 66 release, Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels there. You Get Your Kicks is the name of the tune. Came out on a New Voice label, Bob Crew's New Voice label. Now, the song would be re-released in 1968 as the B-side to his last New Voice 45. But Mitch had some national hits. I'm sure you know his national hits, Jenny Take a Ride, Devil with the Blue Dress, Sock It to Me Baby, so many others. But that's a cool one to open up this hot evening here. Johnny G's All 60s show. Let's continue here. I'm sure many of you are familiar with legendary blues singer Arthur Big Boy Crudup. Elvis Presley even recorded a couple of his songs. That's All Right Mama was one of them, and I think My Baby Left Me another one. Well, he had 3 sons. They were George, James, and Jonas, and they also were a group. They were known as the Malibus. They did 4 on Don Robey's Peacock record label out of Houston, Texas. Here's the A-side to their second release as we go to the Sure Shot record label. This one from March 66. Give a listen to the Malibus on Sure Shot. It's called 2 at a Time.
Can have 2 good friends who may give you peace of mind. Your love, no, baby, just can't have. No, baby, 2 at a time, baby. No, baby, but just one right now. No, baby, 2 at a time. Can have 2 old fools who may give you that very last time, but your love, no, baby, just can't have it. No, baby, 2 at a time, no, baby, but just one right now. No, baby, 2 at a time. There may be enough love in your heart to darken the light of the sun, and you still may have enough love to give but the only one. You can have 2 old watches, and they may both run just fine, but to love, no, baby, just can't have it. No, baby, 2 at a time right now. No, baby, I'm deep in your heart, baby. No, baby, 2 at a time. There may be enough love in your heart to darken the light of the sun, and you still won't have enough love to give but the only one. You can have 2 gold watches, and they may both run just fine, but your love, no, baby, come on, baby, no, baby, I'll buy you a diamond ring, baby, 1 at a time.
March 66 release there for the Malibus. They are the sons of Arthur Big Boy Crudup there. George, James, and Jonas. They're known as the Malibus. That's they did 4 releases on Don Robey's Peacock label. That was their second song entitled 2 at a Time. Came out on the Sure Shot record label. As we continue here on the All 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. This weather's giving Johnny G a cough, so I apologize if it sounds like I'm trying to hold it back. Got to get a cough drop here, but let's continue. And up next, the duet. They recorded 3 on the Review label. They are known as Lonnie B and Vicky G. In reality, they were Lenny West and Vicky Phillips. They co-wrote the A-side of their second release on the Review label, which charted regionally. This was number 27 on WYLD out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's go back to May 1968. Review records for Lonnie B and Vicky G and their tune called Lovin' Feelin' Makes Me Feel Like Lovin' You. Duets here on the 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. Lonnie B and Vicky G, May 1968 release. That's their second release on the Review record label. Song entitled Love and Feel, in parentheses, makes me feel like loving you. And that one there are 3 releases on that label. Cool, soulful tunes. Got a lot of soul records for the first hour or so here of the show. Sometimes maybe a little longer, then we'll mix it up a little bit. But got some cool records here. Here's another one. This female singer hails from Detroit, Michigan. Her debut, 45, came out first on the Giant label. It was then picked up by RCA Records. That's how my copy is on RCA Records. I know Dave the Rave has I think he's got the original on Giant. I have it on RCA. This one arranged by Nick Ashford and Andrew Mike Terry. This one charted number 21 on WCHB in Detroit, Michigan. And she would have 2 more releases on RCA. But let's give a listen to this one from March of 66, Lorraine Chandler. Lorraine Chandler on RCA, and her tune's called What Can I Do? Cool soul tunes here for the 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. Don't know, Kelly. A lot of cool labels carry a lot of the soul records. I don't know what would be the best one. There's so many, but that one's on RCA. Originally came out on the Giant label. March 1966, Lorraine Chandler, What Can I Do is the name of that one. And all her singles are pretty much in demand for the Northern Soul collectors. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. It's all 1960s 45s out of my collection. Up next, here's one on the OK record label. The group is called the Charades. According to Ferdy Gonzalez's disco file, the OK, the guys at OK, we'll call it, purchased the masters of this from this, I guess the owner of the label or the group owner, January 1964. Larry Weiss, he was a member of a group known as the Pacemakers, originally recorded both sides of this record. I guess they were shopping the tracks around and got OK Records to bite, purchasing the two masters, but they said, we don't want to call you the Pacemakers, we want to call you the Charades. And we're going to give a listen to the B-side of their only release, this one conducted by Horace Ott. We go to April 64, the Charades on OK, and their tune's called Love of My Life.
Someone new. I kissed her goodnight and felt her embrace, but no, she wasn't you. The love of my life has gone away, and I'll be crying every day. I'll be in misery till she's back with me. That girl means so much to me. I carry your love wherever I go, even though we're apart. Wherever you are, I miss you so. You're here, right here in my heart. The love of my life has gone away, and I'll be crying every day. I'll be in misery till she's back with me. That girl means so much to me. She's gone. She's gone. She's gone,
Hope you're digging on these cool soul 45s out of my collection. Warren, you like that 45? It's by the Charades, April 1964. It's their only release on the OK record label. That's the B-side of the 45, song entitled Love of My Life. I was with the love of my life yesterday, had a wonderful dinner, and I'm going to see her tomorrow, so we will continue with the good weekend times. John G here, though, enjoying my 45s. I rarely get to listen to a lot of these records, so I like to get requests too, and it's doubly fun when I can find the 45s here in the No Humidity basement. But I did find one, a request for listener Brad Roberts from Akron, Ohio. Thank you, Brad, for your communications with Johnny G, and also for the request. And he wanted to hear a song by this group from Detroit, Michigan. They started recording for the D-Town label back in 1964, but then they signed with the Drew label. They released 5 on Drew. This is their second release. It features Billy Prince on lead. This one charted. This one made it up to number 28 on the Billboard R&B chart. It was a big number 4 record on WBEE out of Chicago, Illinois. By request, going out to Brad Roberts. The Precisions from April 1967. Drew Records. It's their second release. A song entitled Why Girl.
I know you love like a field with so much confusion.
That's going out to listener Brad Roberts over in Akron, Ohio. Hopefully keeping cool over there in Akron, Ohio. He likes that tune by the Precisions, April 1967 release. It's on the Drew record label. That's their second of 5 they recorded on Drew Records. Features Billy Prince. He's the lead singer. Why Girl is the name of the tune. They would have 2 later ones also on the Atco record label. Johnny G's spinning some cool soul 45s here. Many of you, I'm sure, are going to know this next one. This singer born in Mansfield, Ohio, but he was raised in Buffalo, New York, and it's so unfortunate that his career ended much too soon when he was shot and killed on February 24th, 1970. He was only 32 years old. He was shot by a policeman who was at the time involved in a love affair with his girlfriend, and I don't know what escalated, but unfortunately he shot him dead, and he left us with some excellent recordings, and this is his debut single, which was originally written by Donnie Elbert. He knew Donnie Elbert when he was up in Buffalo, New York, but Elbert allowed him to take writer credit. This was number 27 on Billboard, a big number 2, though, on the Billboard R&B chart, and a big number 1 on WJLB out of Detroit, Michigan. We go to March of 1966 on the Revelot record label. Give a listen to Mr. Darrell Banks and his cool tune, a song entitled Open the Door to Your Heart.
About to lose my mind. Walk right on in. Let your love come running in. Open the door to your heart, baby. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your heart. Let love come running in. Let your love come running in. Let it flow like a river. Let it shine like a light. Take all my blind soul, baby. Why don't you give it sight? I've tried to keep from loving you, but I've been loving you a little too long. Darling, darling, you've been so sweet to me. That's what keeps my love so strong. Walk right on in. Let your love come running in. Open the door to your heart, baby. Open the door to your heart. Open the door to your heart. Let love come running in. Let your love come running in.
That's Mr. Darrell Banks. That's his debut 45 on the Revelot record label out of Detroit, Michigan, March 1966. Open the Door to Your Heart is the name of the tune. Styrene copy for that one. I have a nice mint vinyl press somewhere. Sometimes you can luck out on some of those 45s because maybe there was one pressing plant that pressed them up on nice hard vinyl, and that's how I like it, hard vinyl. John G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. It's all 19 1960s 45. Remember buying this one from Tom Klein. Yeah, Tom Klein. Not only did he sell me some cool doo-wop 45s, he was also very much into soul sounds, and I bought this one from him. And although this singer, he was the lead singer of the 1950s vocal group The Plants. I know some of you out there might know their 1957 release on Zell Sanders' J&S label, Dear I Swear. That's where he got his start with the vocal group. But he's originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but in 1962 he went solo, has a 45 on the Les K label, a cool doo-wop record. I will play that on my 50s and early 60s show. But here's a 45 he recorded on the Double R label, which would later on be picked up by Cameo Records. So some of you may own this on Cameo Records. And he's being backed up on this song by the Jive 5 on this side, who just, unfortunately, yesterday we lost the lead singer of the Jive 5, the great Eugene Pitt, who I will pay tribute later on in the show. I got some 45s by the Jive 5. But let's give a listen to Mr. George Jackson with a tune he wrote. This one from November 66. George Jackson on the Double R label. The song is called That Lonely Night.
I remember that lonely night when the stars were so bright. We fell in love, I fell in love on that lonely night. Oh yeah, you kissed me baby, then you walked away. You just took my heart and tore it all apart. I remember, do you remember on that lonely night? Now baby, I'm a fool for you. I'd do anything you want me to. So baby, stop playing around. You know, you hurting me so. Hurting me so. Please, baby. Hurting me so. So, come on, take my hand, walk with me. I wanna be your man, 'cause I remember. Do you remember on that lonely night? Yeah, 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 on that lonely night. Baby, baby, don't leave me. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Honey, baby, don't leave me. Oh yeah. Now maybe I'm a fool for you. I'd do anything you want me to. So baby, stop playing around. You know, you're hurting me so. Hurting me so. Please, baby. Hurting me so. So, come on, take my hand, walk with me. I wanna be your man, 'cause I remember. Do you remember on that lonely night? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby, don't leave me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need your loving, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's Mr. George Jackson. I featured it on the original label before it was picked up by Cameo Records, Double R Records, November 1966. George Jackson with That Lonely Night. The Jive 5 backing him up on that 45. The song was produced by Otis Pollard, who also produced many of the Jive 5 releases. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, here's a singer from New York, but his debut 45 came out on Donald Butler's Don Butt label, which was out of Washington, D.C. This singer is known as Vic Marcel. Vic Marcel, Vicmarcel, and here's his debut 45 from 1966. It's on Don Butt Records. It's called That's My Girl.
A girl who can kiss me and thrill me inside. A
A girl whose touch makes me feel so alive. A girl who looks at me and melts me like cream. A girl who's the answer to every man's dream. Oh, that's my girl. Alright. A girl whose voice sends me into space. A girl whose touch makes my blood start to race. A girl who fills me with desire. A girl who sets my soul on fire. Police. Hey, that's my girl. Alright. She's kind of cute and she's kind of tall. She's got everything. Oh, lucky me, and best of all, I'm her king and she's my queen. I treat her like a gentleman should, and I would love her more if I could. The type of girl who is so hard to find, and just to think that she's all mine. Police. That's my girl. Alright. That's my girl. To really know how to move. Alright. I like to like that.
His name is Vic Marcel's his name. Actually, the flip side of that, it's a cool doo-wop record, believe it or not. But early, I got a cough drop in my mouth, if you can tell. Early 1966 release, Vic Marcel on Don Butt Records, song entitled "That's My Girl." Now, he later signed with RCA Records and also had a later release on the Janus label under a different name, Charlie Mitchell. So check and see if you have that Charlie Mitchell 45. Johnny G playing all cool 45s out of my all vinyl collection. And this next artist goes by the name of Spencer. He had 2 releases on the Midtown label out of New York City. I'm playing the A-side to his first. It was written by Billy Dawn Smith, and his real name is Robert Spencer. And if I were to bet, I'm not a betting man anymore, but if I were to bet, it's the same Robert Spencer who was a member of the 1950s vocal group The Pearls, which included Howard Guyton. Howard Guyton and The Pearls had all those cool 50s tunes on the Onyx label, but I think he was in that group. Goes by the name of Spencer. We go to December 1965, Midtown Records. I found this one for $1. For $1 when I went to the Stormville Airport up in, where was it? In Stormville, New York, up the line there, way up of 684, 84. Anyway, let's give it a spin. Spencer on Midtown. We've got a love that's out of sight.
Girl, we must be doing something right, girl. Everyone around is breaking up all the time. Our love gets stronger every day, so sweet, so deep, boy. We've got a love that's out of sight. I know now. We've got a love that's out of sight. We've got a love that's out of sight, girl. We must be doing something right, girl. We see couples quarrel, we see other couples fight. By hand in hand we walk along, just loving every night. We've got a love that's out of sight. I know now. We've got a love that's out of sight. Everyone we see wonders why. You and I can always agree. We've got a good
I like that tune there. Yes, Jeff, both sides are good on that 45. That's Spencer, really Robert Spencer's really his name, and that one there from December 1966 on the Midtown record label. We've Gotta Love, that's Out of Sight. JohnnyG's got a show that's out of sight. Hopefully you're digging on the cool tunes here. Let's continue. And just a few records ago, I featured George Jackson on the Double R record label. Well, I have another 45 on the Double R label. This one's also produced by Otis Pollard, produced that George Jackson, and also the Jive 545s, and I think this is her debut single from 1966. Her name is Shirley Vaughn, Vaughn, and she also co-wrote this tune. We go to January 1966. It's on the Double R label. This is a different color, though. It's a red label, and it shows 2 R's. The other one was like a bluish with 1 R. I don't know what happened there, but I like this song a lot. Her name is Shirley Vaughn, and I predict Warren will like this too. Shirley Vaughn on Double R, a song entitled Watch Out, Mr. Lonely. January 66 release there for Shirley Vaughn. I believe that is her debut single on the Double R record label. Watch Out, Mr. Lonely is the name of the tune. She would have 2 more releases. Came out on the Philadelphia Fairmount label. I know I have one of those 45s. Don't know if I have them both, but she also had another one on the Columbia label. Cool 45s here for a Saturday evening. I haven't featured a mystery oldie in quite a while. That's because Randy gets them all usually. So, but we're going to have one today because I think maybe I'll finally be able to stump you. So if anybody knows this tune, you can send Johnny G, we'll say a private message in the Top Shelf Oldies chat room, or you could also go on Facebook and go to John Galindo on Facebook and send me a private message, or send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Let me know if you know who is singing this song.
I can't face tomorrow, have to lose you tonight. I can't face tomorrow. There's nothing good inside. When I think about your kiss and the warmth of your embrace, all the love I'm gonna miss, don't know how I'm gonna face tomorrow. I can't face tomorrow. I can't face the teardrops that I know are gonna fall. I can't face tomorrow. It's something I can't stop. I can't think of a thing that would save the day for me, 'cause I haven't got a dream that's a possibility without you. I can't face tomorrow. La 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 la. La 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 I can't think of a thing that would save the day for me, 'cause I haven't got a dream that's a possibility without you. I can't face tomorrow.
Well, that was the mystery oldie. I didn't notice that Randy wasn't in the chat room because I know he would have gotten it right. Actually, I have, let's see, I got two winners of this, two winners on this. First to get it right was Lady Linda. She was the first to get it right. Second to get it right was Platypus Jeff. He was the second one to get it right. Let me see if I got anything on the emails here. You can be getting some emails, but that was it. But they got it right. Amazing. I know Randy probably would have got it right. But this artist, he's from, Gretna, Louisiana. His real name was Vincent Francis Guzzo. And we all know him, though, as Mr. Frankie Ford. He was discovered by his manager, Joe Corona, who got him over to Johnny Vincent's Ace label. Got him a contract with Ace Records in 1958. You know his signature song, big hit for him, a song entitled Sea Cruise. But he recorded on many different labels through the years. We just heard one on the Doubloon label, arranged by Alan Toussaint. And this one charted number 12 on KEVL in White Castle, Louisiana. A song entitled I Can't Face Tomorrow from April 1967. Unfortunately, we lost Frankie Ford on September 28th, 2015 at the age of 76, but something that you would not associate with Frankie Ford. But anyway, we gotta congratulate those. They get a free 45 out of Johnny G's No Humidity Basement, of the corner of the basement where I have all the VG minus 45. So you can, when you get a chance, if you're in the New York area, you can go through those VG minus records and pick one out for yourself. There you go. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. Let's continue now. This next artist, he's from Hartford, Connecticut, and kind of changed his style of singing around 1967 or 68. When he first started, he was, or I should say when he had his big hits, he was more of a big production pop singer. He made his debut back in 1959 on the Decca label, a duet with Ginny Arnold as Jamie and Jain, and he recorded under other aliases. Billy Bryan was one on the Blaze label. Then in 1960, under his real name, Gene Pitney, he signed with Musicor Records and began having hit after hit after hit. Was also a very talented songwriter, wrote songs like Hello Mary Lou for Ricky Nelson, also He's a Rebel, that was recorded by Vicky. Well, who did it first? before the Crystals, as Johnny G draws a blank. Anyway, he was a great writer, and around 1967-68, he became more of a soulful singer, as evident in his last big top 20 hit in 68. If you're familiar with a song called She's a Heartbreaker, also you can get that by somebody. It goes by PJ on some of the 45s. But anyway, here's another one. This one arranged by Charlie Fox and Tico Wilshire, as we go to January 69 for Mr. Gene Pitney on Musicor Records, and the name of the tune is called Hate. That's Mr. Gene Pitney. Gene Pitney, a late record for him, January 1969, song entitled Hate, came out on the Musicor record label. Unfortunately, that we lost Gene Pitney on April 5th, 2006. He was at the age of 65, died of a heart attack. I think he was on tour at the time, touring, and he just dropped dead. As you know, here today, gone tomorrow. But we have this great music that we listen to on Saturday evenings here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Let's continue now. Let's stay on Musicor, and this time with a request for Bopper Boy Warren. And originally this group goes way back to the year 1953 when the original group formed. They signed with Federal Records back in '53, but then Buck Ram became the manager of the group and got them a contract contract with Mercury Records and had them a little bit more polished and popish at the time, so the hits started happening for this group. Of course, you know I'm talking about the Platters, but the lead singer, Tony Williams, who did lead on all those big hits in the 1950s, he left to pursue a solo career in late 1959, and he was replaced by a 19-year-old Sonny Turner. In 1959, he joined the group. He took over lead. He was previously a member of the Metrotones on the Reserve label. It does a great doo-wop song, the lead singer, Please Come Back, but he joined the Platters, and he sounded a bit like Tony Williams also, but when they left Mercury, they signed with Musicor Records, and they released 12 on the Musicor label. Their biggest hit in the Sonny Turner era was in 1967. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the tune With This Ring. Then they also had another top 30 hit. Their first release on the Musicor label was a great record. It was called I Love You 1,000 Times. But Warren requested their second release that bubbled under at number 111 for 1 week. This was a big number 4 record on WAME out of Miami, Florida. By request for Bopper Boy Warren, here are the Platters from July 1966 on Musicor Records. Yes, Warren, a very soulful group they were back then. Let's give a listen to their tune. It's called Devry.
That's a kiss I have missed, baby. I can't stand it to miss them anymore. Devry, baby. Devry, the sound of your name, baby. The future's so plain. I can see. I may never kiss your lips again.
By request for Bopper Boy Warren, those are the Platters. The Platters with Sonny Turner. He's the lead singer. Took over for Tony Williams' July 66 release. Devry's the name of the tune. It's on the Musicor record label. And that should have been a bigger hit, although it was a big hit down in Miami, Florida. Now, how about a twin spin by the Platters? Because, Warren, you did request a couple of those Platters records. I was looking for the box. Couldn't find it. I was lucky to find this other one, but I did find that one. But here is their 7th for Musicor. This was a 45 that my aunt purchased in the fall of 1967. This one charted number 83 on Cashbox, number 70 on Billboard, and number 21 on WKNR out of Detroit, Michigan. And again with the lead singer Sonny Turner on lead. We go to October 67 for the Platters and a twin spin on the Musicor label with a song entitled Sweet, Sweet Lovin'.
Pain in your heart, you just can't take. Is there someone
Twin spin for the Platters there. Sonny Turner's Platters, who is still performing today. I saw him locally here at the Music Hall and did a great show. Sweet Sweet Lovin' is the name of the tune. It's their 7th release on the Music Hall label, October 1967. The Platters with Sweet Sweet Lovin'. Johnny G's here spinning 1960s 45s out of my collection. We do it the last Saturday of every month. Hope you're digging on these cool tunes. Lots of soul records for the first part of the show here as we continue. Now, I have another duet here up next. This time it's two gals. It's on Leonard Chess's Checker label. Now, Charlene nor I could find out their last names, but they go by the name of Margaret and Carol, and the song sounds very familiar. It might sound familiar to you, very similar to a Chiffons tune, but I'll let you be the judge. But let's go to July of 65 for Margaret and Carol. It's on Checker Records with a song entitled That Guy Is Mine.
Say, Margaret, I heard you out with my guy last night. Is that true? Well, wasn't it too? Because if you were, you better leave him alone. And if you don't, there's gonna be some jerking and twining going on. And you're gonna be the jerk, and I'm gonna twine. Cause he's my guy. Oh no, oh that guy is mine. You try. I'm trying to tell you that the guy is mine. Taking away from me. Oh, but alright. We're happy as we can be. Because I saw him first. Forget you, I saw him first. Wanna take him for bed. You better keep away from my guy. Never have a chance with him. Get on the ball. You never will romance with him. What a fall. He's gonna take me to the dance tonight. Oh, we did the duck and the twine last night. He's gonna hold me in his arms so tight. Oh, we had a heck of a time last night. Oh, I love that boy so true. Yeah, you know I love the same old you. Oh no, you don't. Oh yes, I do. Oh no, you don't. Oh yes, I do. You better stay away from that guy of mine. Someday he'll marry. You're late, he's gonna marry. And his name I'll carry. We've laid the plans for a big time. You better leave him alone. I'll leave no way to think. And find a guy of your own. I'll leave no way to think. Because you never will take my guy, my wonderful guy, away from me. I've already done it. You never take him away. I can't just be happy. I'm gonna get him by my side.
Duets here on the 60s edition of the Vinyltreasure Show. They're called Margaret and Carol. Margaret and Carol, July 65 release. We go to Checker Records. That Guy Is Mine is the name of the tune as we move on here on Vinyl Treasures. How about some Southern Soul? As this group is from Memphis, Tennessee. They signed with Volt Records and they had 2 releases on the Volt label. Here is their first, written by the group. They all get writer credits, who are Johnny Fearson and his sister Mary Fearson, along with Marianne Brittenham and Wilbur Mondi. Collectively, they were known as the Dre Pels, and here is their debut single as we go to August of 64. Volt Records. Give a listen to the Dre Pels with a song entitled Wondering, parentheses, When My Love Is Coming Home.
Wondering when my love is coming home.
I'm here at night.
Love is coming home.
Yeah, she didn't write or even call. Don't know what she carried on. I guess I'll go and sleep. can I be?
Wondering when my love is coming home.
Oh yeah, tears in my eyes, late in the midnight hour, babe. I can't get along without you. Come on home to me, baby. Come on.
That's the debut single for the Dre Pels, August 1964. Volt Records for that one. Wondering When My Love Is Coming Home is the name of the tune, and the first of two they recorded on Volt. Now, a female, the lead singer's sister, Mary Fearson, she would later on record as Wendy Renee on the Stax label, have 3 recordings on the Stax label, so those are some cool tunes that she does, Wendy Renee. John G continuing here with the 1960s. Can't really tell you much about this next singer, except it's a great dancing tune, written by William McCorkle and produced by Mike Lewis. Now, the artist goes by the name of Duke Daniels, came out on the Eastern label. We go to June of 64 for Duke Daniels and his tune. It's called Backfire.
Darling, I thought we had a love so strong. But now I know what I thought was all wrong. Yesterday, I held you in my arms. I was thrilled by your many charms. Now today, everything I knew, I'm backfire.
His name is Duke Daniels. Duke Daniels there, June 64 release. It's on the Eastern label, one of the thousands of labels that your host Johnny G collects. Eastern Records. Backfire is the name of the tune. Now I do see that producer Mike Lewis and William McCorkle, they team up again on a number of 45s that I do own. One by the Bruins on General American. Can't Believe That You've Grown Up. I got to listen to that one to see if that one's cool. I also have one another single by the Townsmen on Herald, Is It All Over? I think that's another cool single too. But I got to check out those two guys on some of the other records. Johnny G here, going hoarse, playing cool records out of my collection as we continue. And I love to find records like this next one in the early 70s for a dime. Yes, for a dime, sometimes even less than that, but I'll go for a quarter. Yes, I did. I used to go as high as a quarter to buy 45s as a teenager out and about at the flea markets. But this one I think I found at Yonkers Raceway Flea Market. Used to go there about 7 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Finding cool records like that was just a lot of fun. It really was. But this is a 7-man blue-eyed soul group from both York and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And this group drew their members from two doo-wop groups in the early 60s. One was the Endells. They have a release, 145 on the Hi-Ho label, you may know, a song called Vicky. And the other group that commingled here were the Delcords. I have their release on the Mr. Genius label. What was the name of that one? Mr. Genius. It was called Everybody's Got to Lose Someday. That was the name of it. And then when they got together, they became the Magnificent Men. They signed with Capitol Records in late 65. The result were 9 singles between 1966 and 68. Here is their third single. This one bubbled under at number 133, unfortunately, but it was a big number 3 on WRAW out of Reading, Pennsylvania, and it's a cover of a 1933 classic. This one features David Bupp, B-U-P-P, on lead. Let's go to December of 66, the Magnificent Men on Capitol, and their rendition of the tune Stormy Weather.
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather since me and that little girl ain't been together. Keeps on raining all the time. Life is bad. There's gloom and misery everywhere. Stormy weather since me and that little girl ain't together. Just keeps on raining all the time. Oh, yes it does. Since you went away, the blues walked in and met me. If you don't come back to stay now, old rocking chair's gonna get me. All I do is pray that the Lord above will let me. I said a wall, I said a wall, I said a wall, I said a wall, I said a wall. Every little thing I ever had is gone. It's stormy weather since me and that little girl ain't together. Keeps raining all the time. Just keep on raining.
Some blue-eye soul here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. The Magnificent Men, the name of the group, December 66. Their rendition of the tune Stormy Weather came out on the Capitol record label. Now, after Capitol, they would go on to record for Mercury Records in 1969. And their song, by the way, Charlene found this cool tidbit out. Stormy Weather, the song was the opening theme song, or the opening when the, I guess, when the movies begin. I don't know if it was a theme song, but are any of you familiar with a movie from 2003 called Shade? Shade. I don't know. Danny's not in the chat room. Maybe he would know. But some movie called Shade in 2003. They roll that record through. So check it out. As we continue here for a Saturday evening, let's stay with more Blue-Eyed Soul. This time for another duet, as they are from the UK. Another cheapy 45 that I found for a quarter or a nickel. And they are from Glasgow, Scotland, to be precise. Their names are Maggie Bell and Bobby Kerr, but they recorded as Frankie and Johnny. They also wrote this tune. We go to Hickory Records out of Memphis, Tennessee, May 1966 release for Frankie and Johnny on Hickory. The tune is called I'll Hold You.
Back any moment now. I'm coming back and I'll show you how I'll hold you. Yes, I'll hold you. Please stay with you every night and day. Please stay. I never could throw your love away. I'll hold you. Yes, I'll hold you. How many times have you been leaving? Don't try to tell me you've been grieving. You know I couldn't live without you. What made me think I'd ever doubt you? Baby, 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 I'll stay. Won't regret anything you say. I said I'll stay. I'll satisfy you in any way. I'll hold you. Yes, I'll hold you. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay. I won't be leaving. Just take my word and start believing. I never want to see you crying. I know that we must keep on trying, baby, 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 baby. I'll stay. You won't regret anything you say. I said I'll stay. I'll satisfy you in any way. I'll hold you. Yes, I'll hold you. Come on, I'll hold you. Baby, I'll hold you. Honey, I need you, yeah. Come on, my darling, I want you,
Yeah, that's a cool record to get for a dime or a nickel or whatever. Frankie and Johnny from May 1966. I'll Hold You. It's on the Hickory label. Frankie and Johnny, really, they were Maggie Bell and Bobby Kerr out of Glasgow, Scotland. That's a cool 45 on the Hickory label as we continue. And I usually have a lot more flip sides from the last 60s edition. Unfortunately, I only have one this time. And I have one B-side from last month's All 60s show by this group from Houston, Texas. They were known as the Fantastics. I played their A side of their 45, Have a Little Faith. So let's flip that 45 over. We go back, before it goes back down in the No Humidity basement. It features the lead of Jethro Caldwell. This one from June of 68. It's a B-side for the Fantastics on Soundstage 7. Their tune is called Me and You.
People are talking about me and you, breaking up and becoming all through. All I know is hearsay from you. All I want to know is what I hear is true, because I love you. Yes, I love you.
and you. Yeah, yeah. Me and you. Yeah, yeah.
There goes my baby walking down the street. Oh, so fancy and oh, so sweet. Yes, I love that girl from my very heart. Lord knows we will never part because I love her. Yes, I love her from my very heart.
Me and you.
Me and you.
You and me.
You and
Yeah, me and you.
me and
Yeah, you and me.
you and
Yeah, I need you and I love you, baby.
yeah, yeah.
I need you and I love you, baby.
Thank you, baby.
I need you and I love you, baby.
Yeah.
I need you and I love you, baby. 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 I need you and I love you, baby.
B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Those are the Fantastics. It's on Soundstage 7. That's the actually the second of two they recorded on Soundstage 7 from June of '66. Me and You is the name of the tune. Me and You here every Saturday from 10 to midnight, spinning 1960s original vinyl 45s as we continue here. Here is another duet. Actually, would call it a duo this time. This English folk rock duo that came on the scene in the U.S. back in 1964, had two big hits here in the States on World Artist Records. I'm sure you know their tune Yesterday's Gone and A Summer Song, which was their biggest hit. A Summer Song was their biggest hit in '65. They signed with Columbia Records, never reaching the success though that they previously had with World Artists, but they did have a big hit, I think number 17 on Billboard it made. It was called Before and After, was from 1965. But I think this next song that I'm playing is their best. It was written by Van McCoy. This one charted number 35 on Billboard, but was number 12 on KCBN out of Reno, Nevada. And I'm talking about Chad Stewart and Jeremy Clyde. We know them as Chad and Jeremy, who go to July of '65 on Columbia Records with their tune called I Don't Want to Lose You, Baby.
I'm gonna try with
That's a tune written by Mr. Van McCoy, Chad and Jeremy. Chad Stewart, Jeremy Clyde, they're the singers. July 65, I Don't Want to Lose You, Baby is the name of the tune. It's on the Columbia record banner as we continue here on the All 60s edition. And if you haven't noticed, I pulled a lot of 45s out on the Musicor record label. Have another by this singer-songwriter, record producer, originally from Scotland. His real name was John Henry Blair, and he came on the music scene back in 1960 on MGM Records. Really had two major hits in his career, one in 1963 on the Cap label. I'm sure you're familiar with his tune Mr. Bassman with Ronnie Bright. He was the bassman. Then in late 68 on Bang Records, a tune called Cinnamon, recording under the name of Derek. Now here he is with an uncharted 45 on the Musicor label. It's a tune he wrote, this one produced by George Tobin, arranged by the late Jimmy Wisner. We go to August of 1967 for Mr. Johnny Cymbal. Johnny Cymbal on Musicor, and the name of the tune is called It Looks Like Love.
I met you, you didn't do a thing to me. But now I find I can't forget you. Girl, I think about you constantly. And it looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is coming on stronger every day. Takes two, babe, me and you, babe. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is coming on stronger every day. Girl, you mess my mind up. Every night I seem to wind up thinking of you. Tell me how you feel, you can't conceal it anymore. I gotta know for sure, 'cause it looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is coming on stronger every day. Girl, you mess my mind up every night. I seem to wind up thinking of you. And it looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on. It looks like love is hanging on.
As August 67 for Mr. Johnny Cymbal. Johnny Cymbal on Musicor Records, a song entitled It Looks Like Love. And unfortunate that we lost Johnny Cymbal on March 6, 1993 at the age of 49. He died in his sleep from a heart attack. Boy, bringing you some bad news tonight, but some good 45s. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes here as we continue. Let's stay on the Musicor label, but let's go back 3 years to 1964 for this group out of Brooklyn, New York, and they named themselves after a road in their neighborhood. It was known as Dahill Road, and this one arranged by Alan Lauber. It features Dennis Lambert on lead. We go to August of 1964. They were known as the Dahills. The Dahills on Musicor. Give a listen to their tune. It's called Michelle.
Michelle, 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 Michelle. Michelle,
August 64 release there for the Da Hills. Musicor Records singing to their gal. Her name is Michelle. Sounding a little bit like Barry and the Tamerlanes, or maybe a mixture of the Four Seasons somehow. There, possibly. Lead singer Dennis Lambert went on to become a world-famous songwriter and record producer. And I think Ronnie I even released some of their early demos on the Clifton label. And also the other guy, Ed Engel, I think had Crystal Ball Records, also had some of those demos that he released by the Da Hills. John G here for a Saturday evening. We continue here. Can't find anything about this next artist, but I can find some info about this song because it's a cover tune, first written and recorded by Joe South on MGM Records in January 64. Also the Tams recorded it in 1965 on ABC Paramount Records, but here is a version I'm playing by the singer Bobby Allen Poe. Bobby Allen Poe's his name, and what caught my eye on this 45 is that it was arranged and produced by Ray Stevens, and when I see that on Monument Records, I definitely either are going to feature them or I'm going to buy them if I don't have them. Anyway, let's go listen to the intended A-side. We go to July 66 for this cover tune by Bobby Allen Poe on Monument, his rendition of the tune Concrete Jungle.
Morning rolls around, I catch a bus downtown to that same old job. It's a jungle out there and nobody seems to care in the rat race mile. But when things start bugging me, I just stop and think of you. Then suddenly the concrete jungle becomes paradise. And I worked so very hard for such a little pay. And from 9 o'clock till 5, nobody cares about my life. But now that's okay. 'Cause when the sun goes down in the west, and I run to meet the girl that I love the best, the concrete jungle becomes paradise. You are by my side. No matter what the future holds, I'll always be satisfied. So never push me around and try to put me down until 5 o'clock. Oh, I can't grin in bed 'cause I know you're waiting there just down the block. Baby, when I feel your warm embrace, you just make this world a big wonderful place, and the concrete jungle becomes paradise. Oh yeah.
Cover tunes here on the 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. His name is Bobby Allen Poe, doing the Joe South tune Concrete Jungle. I was thinking of Concrete and Clay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Monument Records for that one, with record produced and arranged by Ray Stevens. You can tell I like those Ray Stevens produced records. July 1966. As we continue here, let's go back to Musicor, the Musicor label for this group called the Astrakhan Sleeve. Now, when I saw that, I wasn't sure if that was a first name or what, so I looked up the word Astrakhan, and it definition is a dark curly fleece of young caracal lambs from Central Asia. So I said, okay, well, it's not a single artist. They're called the Astrakhan Sleeve is the name of the group, and I wonder if the group came out dressed like that. I don't know, that would be kind of weird. Well, they had 3 releases, believe it or not, on the Musicor label, and here is their second, written by Bill Ramal and Dickie Goodman. That Dickie Goodman of Buchanan and Goodman, who did that novelty break-in 45, the Flying Saucer back in 56. But let's give this one a listen from July 68. The Astrakhan Sleeve on Musicor. It's called Love is Everywhere.
Trying to find people we meet. Little is right, nothing is wrong. They all put us down, we have a smile for every frown. Seems very strange, but we know what we got, and we got what we know. Love is everywhere. Love is everywhere. It's everywhere. Yesterday's ways, 'cause we know what we got, and we got what we know. Love is everywhere, it's everywhere. Love is everywhere, it's everywhere. Love is everywhere, it's everywhere.
Sunshine Pop here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's Sunshine Pop sounding sound. The Astrakhan Sleeve is the name of the group. July 1968 release on the Musicor record label. That's their, what did I say? That was their second? Yes, second of 3. Love is Everywhere is the name of the tune. Love is All Around. That's the Trogs, right? John G. losing his mind. Let's continue here. Got a couple of brothers from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. They recorded under the name Cain and Abel. They are really Artie and Al Herrera, and they first came on the scene back in 1963 with 345s on the Kuka label. They were known as Little Artie and the Pharaohs, but then became Cain and Abel with releases on Destination and this label, Redbird, Lieber and Stoller's Redbird record label, sounding oh so very much like the Righteous Brothers. And when the Righteous Brothers heard this song on the radio, they actually said, you know, they questioned, when did we record this? They didn't even remember, but of course then they said, wait a minute, that's not us. But it sounds a lot like them, but you can be the judge. Let's go to May of 66 on Redbird Records for Cain and Abel and their tune called He Will Break Your Heart.
He won't treat you
side. Tired of girls who felt his embrace. Don't be deceived by the smile on his face, because he'll only hurt you. He'll only leave you in shame. He doesn't care how much you feel. To a boy like that, it's never real. He'll break your heart like a little boy. He'll break your heart like a little toy. He'll break your heart. Girl, forget about him. His life is filled with scandal and sin. Open up your heart and try not to cry. I never want to see any tears in your eyes. Tired of girls who felt his embrace. Don't be deceived by the smile on his face, because he'll only hurt you. He'll only leave you in shame. He doesn't care how much you feel. To a boy like that, it's never real. He'll break your heart like a little toy. He'll break your heart like a little toy. He'll break your heart. He'll only hurt you. He'll only leave you in shame. He'll only hurt you.
May 1966 there for Cain and Abel. I think they sound like the Righteous Brothers. Linda says that the bass is not bass enough, but definitely the other guy sounds like Bobby Hatfield. That's for sure. Cain and Abel there with He Will Break Your Hearts on Redbird Records, and they would later on join a band called The Mob. Those two guys. But anyway, that's a cool tune on the Redbird record label. John G here for a Saturday evening. Let's say hello to Ramtown Mike driving around out there. Thank you, Ramtown Mike, for digging on the tunes here. We say hello to Ramtown Mike. We'll even send him this next record here, for this group that started recording back in 1963 on the Parkway label. They had two releases on Parkway in 63, 64. Then in 67 they added group member Phil Tano, who became the lead singer. As a result, they had this lone single on the United Artists record label written by group members Ron McBrien and Joe Giametta. And Phil Tano, he's on lead. Let's go to April 67, a late one by the Val Raise on United Artists. It's called It Hurts, Doesn't It, Girl?
Well, girl, remember, just last September, you broke my heart, said we were through. You thought you found somebody who would love you much more than I.
That is the last single for the Val Raise there. The Val Raise April 1967 release, It Hurts, Doesn't It Girl is the name of the tune. Came out on the United Artists record label. Now that featured Phil Tano on lead. Phil and a couple of the other guys, I think they added one or two more members to the group. They would become Saltwater Taffy. I think they have releases on the Buddha label, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's another label in there, too. Anyway, that's a cool tune as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. This next group, they are from Durango, Colorado. They recorded 3 on the Domain label. They were called the Bundys on their first release on the Domain label, but on their next 2, they changed their name to the Lords of London, not to be confused with the Lords of London, that group from Canada. They had the same name. This is a totally different group. Now, the song is written by Billy Page, who was the brother to arranger Gene Page. So let's give this one a spin. It features lead guitarist Tommy Butin on lead. This one from April 65. They're called the Lords of London on Domain Records with a song called The Sit Down Dance.
Ain't no more room on the floor, and we wanna dance some more. Hit the jerk and twine so fine. We start in the big boss line, but we ain't through, 'cause we can't do the sit-down dance right here in our chair. Don't need to go anywhere. And there's gonna be some hand clapping, gonna be some thigh slapping, gonna be some toe tapping, gonna be some finger snapping. Gonna do the sit-down dance, gotta do the sit-down dance. Our action is causing a fuss. Look, baby, all eyes are on us. Well, you're really something to see. A soul in it next to me with so much style. Child, you drive 'em wild, doing the sit-down dance right here in our chair. Don't need to go anywhere. And there's gonna be some hand clapping, gonna be some thigh slapping, gonna be some toe tapping, gonna be some finger snapping. Gonna do the sit-down dance, gotta do the sit-down dance. Keep shaking and turning me on. The message you're sending is strong. Everybody's back in their seat. They're working out with the beat, a brand new way. Hey, that's here to stay. Doing the sit-down dance right here in our chair. Don't need to go anywhere. And there's gonna be some hand clapping, gonna be some thigh slapping, gonna be some toe tapping, gonna be some finger snapping. Gonna do the sit-down dance, gotta 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 do.
That's a pretty cool tune to send that one out to all the grandmas that can't stand up. Anyway, the Lords of London there, April 1965. It's on the Domain record label. The Sit Down Dance is the name of that tune. Now, they would have one more release that came out on the Valiant label. They just called themselves the Lords for that one. I got to check my Valiant releases to see if I have that 45. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue. This next 45 was a major 5-cent purchase from the Flower Box Thrift Shop in Bronxville, New York. I used to take my grandmother to her doctor. He was at Lawrence Hospital or affiliated with Lawrence Hospital in that area, and they had a thrift shop. It was called the Flower Box, and I walked in one day and I saw these. They had the records in like those metal, they had like these metal racks that you can just, line the records up, which by the way is a horrible way to store your records. But anyway, I found this 45. It was on Shad O'Shea's Counterpart label, which was out of Cincinnati, Ohio, but originally the song was recorded in 1966 on the Jinx label. But the label owner of Counterpart, Shad O'Shea, he heard the song a year later and he purchased the master, and he said, you know what, I'm going to shorten it just a bit. So he shortened the song to make it only a minute 59, and this one charted, the re-release charted on Counterpoint, a big number 5 on WUBE out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Features the lead singer Leonard Gartner, who also wrote the tune. Let's go to February 67. I have it on the Counterpart label. The group is called the Us Two Group, and the name of the tune is called The Only Thing to Do.
Seemed like yesterday you said you'd never leave me, and you'd love me till my love for you was not so true. But you went away and broke my heart and found another, and you're laughing cause I'm still in love with you. Now the time has come for me to make up my mind about that girl who went and broke my heart and made me blue. I can tell myself I miss her, oh, try to forget her. Tell you what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna straighten up, laugh it off, tell myself, that you were such a fool. Cause you want me back, but I won't be around. Cause I'll give my love to someone better than you. Now the time has come for me to make up my mind about that girl who went and stole my heart and made me blue. I can tell myself I miss her or try to forget her. Tell you what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna straighten up, laugh it off, tell myself that you were such a fool. Cause you want me back, but I won't be around. Cause I'll give my love to someone better than you. To someone better than you. To someone better than you. To someone better than you.
That group is called the Us Two Group. Whoops. At least these turntables are turning off in this heat. The Us Two Group is the name of the group. It's February 1967. The Only Thing to Do is the name of the tune. Came out on the Counterpart label. Now, the original of that on the Jinx label, boy, that's a pretty in-demand record. It goes for over $1,000 if you're looking for that 45. I do not own it on Jinx. I'd like to, but I don't. As we continue, we are now officially in... on Vinyltreasure Overtime for this next 45. This band from Daytona Beach, Florida, heard their first two 45s came out in the year 1965 on the Lee label. Then they had a hit, actually a tune that bubbled under, unfortunately. It was called The Little Black Egg, and was on another label before, Cap Records. I forget the name of it, but it was on Cap Records that the record sold a little bit. But this 45 that I'm featuring is on Henry Stone's Marlin label, and it was later picked up by Cap Records, but I'm featuring it on the original label, Marlin Records, written by the group's manager. His name is Michael Stone, and Chuck Collins. And we go to January of 66. This record charted number 15 on KXDA in Sacramento, California. It features Robbie Rouse on lead. Robbie Rouse on lead. And it's by the Nightcrawlers. The Nightcrawlers on the Marlin label. The name of the tune is called Basket of Flowers.
She sits in a cell at the midnight hour. They keep her tied in the darkest tower. She seems so lonely there with no one by her side. And so I sent to her a basket of flowers. Just what she does up there, I don't know. If I were a clown, I'd put on a show. She sits and cries up there with no one by her side. And so I sent to her a basket of flowers. I sit and watch the light in her chamber every night. And then I close my eyes and I cry for her. Last night I looked up in her window, and suddenly there came a shower. I stayed back and I saw nothing but darkness. As a bolt of lightning revealed a basket of flowers.
Yeah, that group is called the Nightcrawlers, featured on the original label Marlin Records there, January 1966, their tune called A Basket of Flowers. Now, John Rouse, currently in our Top Shelf Oldies Show, would you happen to have multiple copies of that 45 due to the fact that you said he was a long-lost relative, possibly? And maybe we can give those out as some freebies here to the Vinyl Treasure show listeners, but that's a cool tune. John G here, losing his mind for a Saturday evening as we continue for this next band they formed in Los Angeles, California. Terry Clements, he was the lead guitarist, Val Garay, rhythm guitar, Dick Day, the bass, Eddie Ho was on drums, and the lead singer, a gal, her name is Margot Phillips. And their first 45 came out in 1967 on the Take 6 label. It was called February Sunshine. Then they had two releases on Lou Adler's Ode label. Here is the second, and it's a cover that was originally recorded by the Smokey Robinson and the Miracles on the Tamla label back in 61. This one produced by Lou Adler. This one bubbled under at number 116, but was a big number 14 record on WTGR in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Let's go back to August 67 for the Giant Sunflower. It's on Ode Records and their rendition of the tune What's So Good About Goodbye.
What's so good about goodbye? All it does is make you cry.
cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Overtime. They like that one there in the Top Shelf Oldies chart. They're called the Giant Sunflower, August 1967 release on the Ode label, doing the Miracles tune, What's So Good About Goodbye. Margot Phillips, she's the lead singer. They have other 45s. I have featured them here on the 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show. As we continue here, really can't tell you much about this next 45, but I'm guessing this singer is from California. I'm going to say that because it's on the Dot label, so I'm pretty sure about that. His first release came out in 1962 on the Lancelot label, but he had two on Gene Autry's label, then two more on the Dot label. I'm featuring this 45 on Dot. It's his first. It's written by Gary Usher. This one charted number 35 on KLIV in San Jose, California. We go to March of 64 for Don Brandon on Dot, and give a listen to his tune. It's called Doin' the Swim.
And we'll ride up to him now. Just move around like you're doing a crawl. Swish your tail now and that ain't all. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Swish splash, gonna do the swim. Move your hips like you're gonna do the water now. Doing the swim now, doing the swim. Just move your hands like you're gonna do the dog paddle now. Doing the swim now, doing the swim. If you're getting too hot, you can take a swim. All you gotta do now is plunge right in. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Splish splash, gonna do the swim. Just move around like you're doing a crawl. Swish your tail now and that ain't all. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Splish splash, gonna do the swim. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Splish splash, gonna do the swim. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Splish splash, gonna do the swim. Like a fish in a school now. Everybody's doing the swim. Splish splash, gonna do the swim. Like a fish in a school now.
I'm sure many of you will be doing that, or have done it today, or will do it tomorrow or next week. You're going to be doing the swim. Don Brandon there. March 1964 tune, a pen by Gary Usher, Doing the Swim on the Dot record label. As we continue, more Vinyl Treasure Overtime. And this next gal, she's from Detroit, Michigan. Her real name is Rita Coleman, but she recorded as Rowdy Joy. She recorded 3 on Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller's Redbird record label. Here's the B-side to her debut 45, produced by Mike Lewis and Stuart Weiner. This one from February 1965, Redbird Records, Miss Rowdy Joy, and her tune is called Love Hit Me Like a Wallop.
Hit me with a wallop, all I saw was a twinkling star. Oh yeah. When I got my senses, I looked, and there you were. They say that love is blind, but I can't see. You wanted me bad, cause you hit on me. Love hit me with a wallop, and it knocked me for a loop. Like a ton of bricks. Oh yeah. Baby, what I'm feeling, it gives me a lot of kicks. And now I'm gonna shout it for all to know. I guess I'm just a lucky so and so. Love hit me with a wallop and it knocked me for a loop. It
Violent tunes here on the on the Vinyl Treasure Show overtime edition here. That is, I like that. I like both sides of that record. I do. That is Rowdy Joy, February 1965. Redbird Records, Love Hit Me Like a Wallop. That's the name of the tune. She would have 4 more releases on Parkway Records in 1966 and 67. As you notice, Johnny G is starting to lose his voice. So let's continue with a few more here before we sign off. We'll go another couple records or two. So now let's continue here. This next group, they hail from New Haven, Connecticut, and the singer here was cousin to Mr. Leroy Griffin of the 1950s vocal group The Nutmegs. He would perform with The Nutmegs on the oldie circuit. Leroy Griffin, he passed away, and this singer, he filled in for him on the oldie circuit. But prior to that, he was a lead singer of a group known as the Pels with a K, and they have a cool record on the Select label. I featured it here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. It's called You've Got It Bad from 1964. Well, here he is again as the lead singer of the Jain Men. And we go to Josie Records for this one. Features Harry Janes on lead. This is Harry Janes and the Jain Men. This one from March of 65. It's called On This Busy Sidewalk.
People talking loud on this busy sidewalk. I'm just one of the crowd on this busy sidewalk. People just hurry on by, tell them I'm just another guy. The only sad face that I see is my reflection staring back at me. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. Baby, you left me on this busy sidewalk. There is no pity on this busy sidewalk. I'm lonely when you're not around. I come here just to look at the ground, where I could see on the sidewalk that you love me. Talk, baby, I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. Watching people walk on this busy sidewalk. On the sidewalk. On this busy sidewalk. On the sidewalk. Watching our hearts fade away. I fell apart when you went away. You left me for someone else. I'm all alone, baby, I'm all by myself. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk. I'm so lonely on this busy sidewalk.
March 1965 release there for Harry Janes and the Jain Men. It's on the Josie record label. I love that tune. On This Busy Sidewalk is the name of the song. On both sides of the record are pretty good. The flip side's called My Baby's Coming Home. And Spencer also recorded that 45 on the Midtown label. It's actually the flip of the 45 I played earlier on the Vinyl Treasure Show. So we're going to get them both on next week as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Overtime. This next group, they're from Jersey City, New Jersey, started recording back in 1962 with releases first on the Piney label, but in 1964 they signed with Joe Evans Carnival label. They released 4 on Carnival. This is their third, written by group member Edward Bevins, and was produced by Joe Evans and Bob McGee. This one from November of '64. It features George Smith on lead. Let's give a listen to the Manhattans on Carnival and their tune called What's It Gonna Be?
Will you love me to the end of time now, honey? Hey, hey, yeah. Will you love me till eternity now, babe? Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Will you love me like you did before? I can't live in misery anymore. What's it gonna be? Come on, come on, come on now, baby. Will you tell me what you're doing now, honey? Hey, hey, will you keep your sacred vow now, baby? Hey, yeah, hey, hey. I'm so jealous and I'm so blue. Won't you please say you love me too? Will you stick with me? Come on now. 1, 2 years from now, will you make your sacred vow? 8, 9, will you be mine? What's it gonna be? Will you stick with me? Come on now, baby. Will that gleam stay in your eyes now, honey? Hey, hey, yeah. Will it shine for another guy now, baby? Hey, yeah, hey, yeah. He don't love you, he don't break your heart. He just wants to see us from far. What's it gonna be? Come on now, baby. Oh, pretty baby. Tell me, baby. Tell me, little 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 baby.
November 1964 there, the Manhattans on the Carnival record label. Their tune entitled What's It Gonna Be featured the lead singer George Smith. He's the lead singer on that 45. Well, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Johnny G, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Been working on your requests. 60s are a little bit harder, especially if they're on big time labels like Columbia and RCA and MGM, because I got a ton of boxes of those 45s, but I gotta look through them. I find such cool records that you can hear on my 60s show the last Saturday of every month. But that's gonna do it now. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do my tribute to the late Eugene Pitt, but we're going to close the show with a record that I really like by the group and a 45 that my aunt purchased. So, of course, I was saddened to hear about the passing of Eugene Pitt, the lead singer of the Jive 5. Originally out of Brooklyn, New York, this group began recording for Belltone Records back in 1961, and then they recorded on many other labels through the years, United Artists, Music Core, Decca, and others. But I had a few to feature tonight, but we're going to close tonight. We're going to send out the last record in tribute to Mr. Eugene Pitt, and it's a 45 my aunt purchased back in March of 1968. Again, it produced by Otis Pollard, who produced many or the majority of the records for the Jive 5. It was written and arranged by Richie Adams. Now, he was previously the lead singer of the Fireflies on Ribbon. You know that tune, You Were Mine, that he did, but he also had some pretty cool tunes on his own as a single artist, but this song bubbled under at number 119, was number 34 on the Billboard R&B charts, a big number 15 on WWRL here in New York or New Jersey, the tri-state area. It was a big hit there. And our closer tonight's from March of 68 on Music or the Jive 5 with the late Eugene Pitt on lead. It's called Sugar Don't Take Away My Candy. But Johnny G's taking away all your 45 candies. That's going to do it for this evening. Please tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Raven, his Relics and Rarities show. Dave is on from 9 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Some cool 60s sounds out of Dave's 45 collection. And all the DJs here on Top Shelf Oldies beginning at 8 p.m. Every night of the week. So we got some cool DJs here, so you got to tune into the station, and you'll definitely hear some cool sounds like you did tonight. Well, that's going to do it, folks, and thank you, Charlene, for all your help last minute. I know I was a pest today, but thank you dealing with me. But anyway, that's going to do it, folks. I'll see you here next Saturday night for my all 50s and early 60s edition of the show from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Enjoy your 4th of July on Wednesday. It's kind of weird being off in the middle of the week, but that's the way it goes. I enjoyed it tonight, folks. I'll see you next Saturday. Just want to say, everybody, so long.